Welcome back to Revise and Resubmit for another weekend book review. I'm Pavlov, and with me as always is Nikita. So today, we're diving into something kind of different.
Definitely off the beaten path.
Yeah. A history of the Dasnami Naga. Now you might think, oh, monks, peaceful, removed from all the chaos. But
not these guys.
No, not these monks. This book totally flips the script.
It really does.
Yeah. You think meditation, Milton tops.
The Dasnami Naga were right in the thick of it.
Warfare, politics, economics, it's like
total clash of expectations.
Exactly.
And what's fascinating is this duality. It's part of their identity. The book emphasizes this idea of Astra and Shastra.
Astra and Shastra.
The sword and the scripture.
Oh, wow.
Like this fusion of the warrior and the ascetic.
But they're not just like warrior monks.
Not exactly.
Okay, so where do we begin with that? I mean, the book traces their lineage way back to the philosopher Shankaracharya, 8th century CE India.
Right, but their history as warriors goes back even further. I mean, the book even mentions them resisting Alexander the Great's invasion.
What?
3rd century BCE.
Wow.
Yeah, that detail blew my mind.
So they've been around for centuries.
Centuries defending their beliefs.
Yeah.
Their territories.
That's incredible. So with a history that long, there's got to be some serious organization.
Oh, absolutely.
The book talks about these 10 suborders, Giri, Puri, Parati, and so on.
Spread all across India.
Okay, and then within those suborders,
Okay.
it gets even more complex.
Yeah, you've got this distinction between resident sannyasis,
Okay.
who are allowed to marry, settle down. And then the Nagas,
Okay.
they live a celibate life
Okay.
in these monastic communities called akharas.
Akharas.
Yeah, it adds this whole other layer.
Wow. So we've got a long history, a complex structure,
Okay.
and they're warrior monks. Let's get into the action.
Okay, let's
The
again.
book's filled with stories about their military exploits.
Oh, tons.
Huh?
One that really stood out to me was the siege of Allahabad in 1750.
Oh.
There was this Dasnami Naga leader, Rajendra Giri.
Rajendra Giri.
He used these lightning attacks to disrupt the enemy. His tactics were so effective, he played a key role in lifting the siege.
So it's almost like guerrilla warfare, using speed and surprise.
Exactly.
But it wasn't just brute force. They were also incredibly strategic.
Absolutely. The book also talks about Anup Giri.
Another leader.
Yeah, he used infiltration tactics. During the Jat-Rohela conflict, back in 1764,
Okay.
he snuck his forces right into the enemy camp.
Wow.
Yeah, it really gives you a sense of their military cunning, adaptability.
So these victories weren't just flukes.
No way.
These guys were seriously good at warfare.
Seriously good. Their skills, their organization, helped transform them into semi-independent chiefs.
Wow.
Wielding considerable power and influence.
So they weren't just fighting for religious reasons.
No, they were shaping the political landscape too.
Okay, hold on. This is where my brain starts to short circuit a bit. We've got monks who are expert warriors and wielding political power. But weren't they supposed to be detached from worldly affairs?
It's a paradox, isn't it? They were deeply involved, but their motivations, they might have been more complex than just power grabs.
Okay.
The book hints at their economic activities too. You know, trade, money lending, even silk production.
Monks,
Yeah.
warriors, politicians. Now we can add entrepreneurs to the list. This is getting hard to keep track of. Did their religious life ever intersect with all of this?
Oh, absolutely. Their pilgrimages, especially the Kumbh Mela, became intertwined with economic activities.
Okay.
Almost like a religious trade fair.
So like a blend of devotion and commerce.
Exactly. And the book even mentions that these gatherings sometimes led to clashes with other groups.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even within religion, competition for resources and influence can erupt into conflict.
So they were fighting for their beliefs, their territory, and even their economic interests. This is turning into a very different picture of monastic life than I ever imagined.
And we're just getting started. Remember, this is only one part of their story. The book delves into how they adapted to changing circumstances, especially during British colonialism.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a clash of cultures. How do they navigate that?
I'm on the edge of my seat. Let's dive into that next.
Well, the arrival of the British really threw a wrench in the existing power dynamics in India.
Yeah.
Imagine these warrior monks, used to wielding influence, now facing a whole new kind of empire.
It's like a historical what-if scenario.
Yeah.
A clash of completely different worlds. So how did the Dasnami Naga respond to this new challenge? Did they try to fight back?
They certainly didn't just roll over. The book talks about the emergence of these figures, called Mandalish Wars, within the Dasnami Naga order during this period.
Herdilish wars. What role did they play?
They were essentially spiritual leaders who rose to prominence to address the specific challenges of British colonialism.
So like organizers, strategists.
Spokespeople for the Dasnami Naga in this rapidly changing landscape.
So they were fighting for their place in this new world. But maybe not with swords this time?
Exactly. The book highlights how some Dasnami Naga even engaged in social service and promoted Sanskrit education during this period.
Okay.
It's like they were finding new ways to assert their influence and contribute to society within this new framework.
It's fascinating how adaptable they were. I mean, we've gone from warrior monks battling Alexander the Great to them navigating the complexities of British colonialism. But let's not forget that at their core, they were a religious order. Did the book reveal anything about their spiritual practices and how they balance those with their worldly involvements?
Absolutely. The book delves into their beliefs, mentioning the 4 stages of spiritual advancement within the order: Kutichak, Bahudar, Hansa, and Paramhansa.
Okay.
It's this journey of renunciation and spiritual growth that underpins their entire existence.
So even as they were engaging in warfare, politics, and economics, they were simultaneously striving for spiritual enlightenment.
It's a testament to their complexity.
Talk about a multifaceted existence.
The book highlights how they embrace this duality, recognizing that spiritual growth doesn't necessarily require complete isolation from the world.
I'm starting to think we need a whiteboard to keep track of all the roles these Dasnami Naga played. Warriors, politicians, entrepreneurs, and spiritual seekers. Is there anything they didn't do?
Well, one aspect the book doesn't shy away from is their relationship with money and power.
Okay.
It's a tricky topic, especially for a religious order that, at least in theory, should be detached from material wealth.
Right, that's a good point. Did they always manage this delicate balance with grace?
It's complicated. The book mentions instances of violence and power struggles, even within the order itself.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about their pilgrimages?
Wow.
Becoming entangled with economic activity?
By like that bustling religious trade fair atmosphere?
Yeah.
At the Kumbh Mela.
Well, that mix of religious devotion and economic interests sometimes led to friction and even conflict.
Yeah.
It highlights how human desires for power and influence can create tension, even within a religious context.
So it seems like the Dasnami Naga were constantly grappling with these tensions between their spiritual aspirations and their worldly involvements.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, were they always the good guys in history?
That's a tough question. It's like their story challenges us to rethink easy categories of good and bad.
Absolutely. The Dasnami Naga were products of their time, and their actions reflected the complexities of the world they lived in.
It feels like we've only scratched the surface of who the Dasnami Naga were and what they represented. It's like their story is a lens through which we can glimpse this intricate dance between religion, power, and society in India.
A dance with centuries-long steps.
Yeah.
What strikes me is how the Dasnami Naga challenge our assumptions about what it means to be a monk, a warrior, even a spiritual seeker.
And the book doesn't shy away from some of the less savory aspects of their story. We talked about instances of violence, power struggles, and the potential for corruption. That comes with wielding influence.
It's crucial to acknowledge those complexities, the Dasnami Naga. For all their spiritual aspirations, they weren't immune to the temptations of power.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think their history reminds us that we should critically examine the actions of individuals and groups, even those we might initially perceive as righteous or holy.
It's a reminder to never take things at face value.
Exactly.
So always dig a little deeper. Consider the full context.
Precisely. And this critical lens shouldn't just stop with historical figures. It's a practice we can apply to the present day as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Questioning motives, considering the consequences of actions, holding everyone accountable. These are vital for navigating the complexities of any society, whether it's ancient India or the modern world.
So where do the Dasnami Naga stand today? The book hints at their continued presence in India, mentioning their involvement in social service and education, but it doesn't go into much detail.
It's an open question. That really piqued my curiosity, too. It's almost like the book is an invitation for us to continue the deep dive. Beyond its pages?
Okay.
Are they still involved in politics? What does their economic influence look like now? How have they navigated the challenges of modern India and a globalized world?
It's fascinating to think that this ancient order, with its roots stretching back centuries, is still out there, adapting and evolving in ways we can only speculate about.
And who knows what fascinating stories and insights we might uncover if we dig deeper.
Yeah.
Perhaps their interactions with the different regional powers, cultural contexts, religious practices in other parts of India have shaped their evolution in unique ways.
This deep dive has completely shattered my preconceived notions about monks and monastic life. The Dasnami Naga remind us that history is rarely black and white, and there's always more to learn, more layers to uncover.
And that's the beauty of exploration, isn't it? It's not just about accumulating knowledge, but about cultivating curiosity, challenging assumptions, and embracing the richness and complexity of the world around us.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired to hit the library and keep digging. Who knows what other hidden chapters are waiting to be discovered?
Definitely something to ponder.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today, but be sure to join us next week for another weekend book review. Until then, keep revising and resubmitting.